We're good to go. Welcome back, Sunday Ballers. How are we doing today? Officially, the first in-person episode. Yes, first Rio podcast. I know you guys probably enjoyed the split screen, but finally made it back
Yeah,
together.
no, it is really nice to be in the same location. Better for reactions, definitely.
Definitely.
Oh, you're looking at me, and I'm like, oh no, you're actually looking at us.
So, yeah, peeking outside. We do have a busy neighborhood, but we have a very exciting episode today for sure. I think we can kind of just hop into the topic today. We're going to be discussing the Millennium teams, our Millennium teams from 2000 on for the NFL, all our first teams. We're going to be talking about offense and we're going to be talking about our coaches today. And then next episode, we're going to talk about our defensive picks and we're going to talk about our special teams picks. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Yeah, so I think we're going to have a few discrepancies, but there's some guys that are pretty obviously in top spot for certain position.
For sure. I think offense is very clear with that, though we haven't really discussed our teams. We talked about a few guys when making our list, guys that we think are pretty consensus, but there'll definitely be some differences between our lists, which is very exciting. We talked about whether we're going to value pure peak or we're going to value longevity and career statistics, career accolades, all that fun stuff. And we'll really see who has what as their top value system. I think for me, it definitely resonated with peak years as well as overall just accolades and consistency and awards. You know, a player like Brady is going to have 7 rings compared to a quarterback like Mahomes, who's got 3 right now, but he's only played for so long. Or the peak of a player like Luke Kuechly. We'll talk about next episode. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we won't. Talk about plenty of guys. I don't want to spoil much. Apparently, he's talking to his mom right now or something. I don't know. His doctor, maybe.
I'm making sure my list is all right.
I don't know what he's talking to his doctor right now. That's it. Yeah, he's got a filling at 3 o'clock, so we got to get this moving. But I think what should we open it up with today? This is interesting. Should we start with coaches or we want to finish with coaches?
That's actually what I'm working on right now. I'm making sure I have my coaches in check. But yeah, no, I think we start with. Honestly, I think we start with coaches.
Start with coaches.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like to go first?
Yeah. So my coach for the past 25 years is going to be Bill Belichick. Kind of self-explanatory, and it's a shame he didn't make the Hall yet. Yeah, 7 rings, and even what he was doing prior to his head coaching run in New England, he was one of the top defensive coordinators under Parcells' tree, and yeah, really, helped the Giants get the most out of a lot of their guys, and yeah,
which is crazy. You don't really think about, but he played a huge role being the defensive coordinator of those Giants Super Bowls, and he's also my guy. No spoilers here. I guess all spoilers. But the only guy that really has a say is Andy Reid, I think.
Yeah.
Because of his Eagles days as well as his Chiefs days. Between player management and dealing, no scandal was too big, which sounds like it's a negative, but it's a positive that they were able to fight through so many things over the years. Talk about a dynasty. It's impossible in this day and age how to go from the year of 2000 to the last Super Bowl is what, 2018? Is that their last appearance?
Yeah.
Yes. And is that the Eagles Super Bowl? Is that ring? Rams. And that's their last ring together. And that's 6 rings for Belichick as a head coach.
Yeah.
He's more of a defensive coach, of course, and whoever you want to give the offense to, whether it's Brady, which we'll be talking about later, or McDaniels, or plenty of talent. We may talk about Randy Moss and his insane 07 season. Even though they still lost, they had one of the most insane regular seasons of all time, and I think that definitely plays into my rankings, especially when there's so much more volume than just one season.
Yeah, and even 9 appearances and 18 years. That's every other year they're going to a Super Bowl.
Gross. The only guy with a better resume is Brady. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's really, really impressive. Like there was downturn towards the end of his Patriots tenure, but can't really blame him. That team was really not set up for any sort of success, and I feel like that is a bit of a detriment to Belichick, like where you could negotiate Reed, because I feel like Reed does a better job getting better players across the board, better athletes, but Belichick really does make the most out of the guys he has. There's some guys that have gotten contracts after leaving the Patriots, and there's guys that have come to the Patriots either washed up or on really good deals. Like a guy like Michael Bennett, who was kind of classified as more washed up when the Pats got him, and he was one of the bigger impact guys. Yeah, and even like a guy like Trey Flowers, who got a bag from the Lions for being an edge rusher.
Nate Soldier got a bag.
Nothing. Did absolutely nothing. And then do you have OCDC?
I didn't. That's actually interesting.
That's
wow.
That's what I was.
Should have.
That's what I was looking up.
OC and DC.
I have my DC. DC's pretty easy.
That's probably Spags for me, I suppose. At DC.
Yeah, he's my DC.
Yeah, I guess Spags and OC's tough actually.
OC, there's a few guys. I was thinking about putting a head coach there, just because I don't want to exclude this guy from the list, and it could be Andy Reid. I have Sean Payton.
I was thinking.
I love Sean Payton if he was my OC for like to pair with Belichick, but mainly focusing on what the OCs have done over the past years and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think I have Josh McDaniels, just because of how
purely as an OC.
Yeah, purely as an OC, because his head coaching run is not impressive at all. It's actually
rather insane. Yeah. Even this year, I mean, seriously, the big 2025, going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
After all that time, it's insanely impressive.
No, and even when the Patriots were on a downturn and they did not, Brady left and they took Cam Newton, they were able to actually create an effective offense around him. And I think he definitely had over 300 rushing yards that season. And just being able to adapt to the players on your team and get the most out of the guys. Patriots never really had any. They always had their top guys. Like they always had Brady, Gronk, and either Welker, Edelman, whatever guy have you, in the McDaniels tenure. But still, like being able to get the most out of
that's post TJ Watt, so that's to get any production out of him is actually very impressive, because that's a very washed Cam Newton. No offense to Cam Newton. I know he still goes on and says he's better than half the quarterbacks in the NFL. He likes doing that, actually.
He made Mac Jones a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he did dap up MMG.
Yeah.
One of my favorite clips of all time, I have to say. This is like Hooters.
Yeah.
It's like Hooters. This is like Hooters. Clean dap. If you can get just a little bit from Cam, you got to take what you can get. But yeah, I think Sean Payton's. If I had to pick, and I get to, because this is our list, we can do whatever we want. I can pick literally whoever I want. Ben McAdoo could be my OC if I felt like it. But I do think as an OC, even now in the big 25, 26, he still runs and an offense really with a lack of talent, honestly. They had some power, and if Bo Nix was there, that would have been a hell of an AFC championship. Yeah. I'm not sure who I would pick, but man, it would have been a great game. Head to head? Yeah, it would have been lower scoring, that's for sure. Who would I guess I would have been Broncos as well, though it would have been
also the weather conditions. They were really a bigger challenge than anything else in that game, so it kind of is more of a 50-50 game. But
Jay Stidham sliding in. I love Jay Stidham just as well. But all right, so I think that's pretty good with the coaches, all in all, just to keep moving forward. We could sit here and start naming guys and be here for 40 minutes on this, but we want to shift to
offense.
Yes, sir.
How do we want to approach this quarterback?
I think we should go quarterback first.
Yeah, I think we go possibly quarterback, O-line. Then we go skill position after that. Yeah, so quarterback, pretty unanimous. Is going to be Tom Brady. 7 Super Bowls. No one else has done that. I think he's had 10 appearances in that 20-year stretch. Yeah, so
got 3 MVPs, got 3 first-team All-Pros. When I was making this list, I only really talked about first team All Pros. I don't think seconds matter here, just because these are the best of the best. And he's got the counting stats. He's got 89,000 yards. He's got over 1,000 yards rushing, which is actually quite impressive for how long he's played.
Yeah.
It was tough because a guy like Peyton Manning, the sheriff, he was neck and neck with Brady in my head, and I mean he's got 7 first-team All-Pros. He's got 5 MVPs. You guys saw the 2013 season, if you remember that, it was insane. Was it 56 touchdowns? 56 passing.
55. I think it was 55, and I think it went for 53.
It was gross.
Yeah,
it was gross, and I really like that. And in all honesty, if it was purely a regular season list, we weren't counting anything, he would get it. But Brady has the advantage over the matchups, and yes, team, but that Colts teams were loaded, so were the Broncos teams.
Yeah.
It's not like he was that outplayed. I love Dungy, but probably outcoached a little bit.
Yeah, and we've seen Tom Brady bringing a team to a Super Bowl where I think his fifth receiving threat was pretty much. There was one season, I think it was Chris Hogan, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, and Robert Gronkowski. It's top 4 receivers along those lines that they didn't make the Super Bowl with that team. Those are not guys that are possibly going to make the Hall of Fame if they were on a different team, and they're possibly not even going to make a roster if they were on another team. I think.
No, it's not that far. But
aside
all right.
Aside from Gronk, I think the other 3 were all undrafted.
Sure. Yeah.
Except for Edelman. I think Edelman was like a late. Yeah, there's been times he was on the practice squad, almost got cut. And there was things he had to do for the pass. They lined him up at corner against the Eagles.
Edelman going out for 105. Edelman.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom, Edelman. But yeah, I agree with you. And he had some, he had some receiving threats out of the backfield for a bunch of those years. Fareed, James White, they all could catch. Sonny Michel could even catch out of the backfield.
Danny Woodhead
for sure.
They always had a committee of guys, and they did a very good job.
But he never had a running back like Edwin James. Never did.
Yeah, he never had Edwin James. Even the guys that Peyton had. Yeah. No, Sean Moreno would have probably been the best guy that he's like Stephen Ridley.
Right there. Stephen Ridley's underrated all time. Yeah. He actually had a say for this list. He's not on it. He's in the back of my honorable mentions. I think a guy even like CJ2K or Jamal Charles is better than him all time. Matt Forte's probably right there.
We're still talking about Stephen Ridley.
Are we? I'm just talking about running backs, okay?
Oh,
this is an exciting list.
I thought you were talking about Stephen, like you were comparing the guys to Stephen Ridley.
No, I was just talking about my list. That he's in the back of my honorable mentions, but he's probably, I don't even know if he makes the top 10 in all reality.
Yeah.
But I was very close with Peyton. On the NFL released their 25-year list of the top team from 2025 last year, and they had 2 quarterbacks on theirs, and they picked Peyton. They actually had 3. They picked Mahomes as well.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but I suppose he's the 3rd guy. But the thing that made the difference for me with Brady versus Manning was the Buccaneers Super Bowl. And I guess that also has something to do with the Mahomes. I don't think Mahomes has a leg to stand on versus Brady because Brady has everything else, and he has the Super Bowl matchup. That's crazy. Brady and Manning never played in the Super Bowl, but for them to meet there, especially being Bro was Unk. They had plenty. They have seriously, I think, the best rivalry of all time in sport. It's insane.
That 2020 Bucks run. Everyone was saying how Tom Brady's a checked out merchant. He was the number 1 deep ball passer that year. Like that like to go out there and be able to sling the rock, and like that was probably the best roster that he ever had across the board. I'm trying to think if there was any Pats rosters except for that 07 team that was.
There's a couple that are great there, but I think that Buccaneers team is serious. They're really serious. Their offense,
because their tight end was Gronk, and that was always.
Gronk had 2 touchdowns Super Bowl, man. I gotta respect that.
Yeah, that was always Brady's best threat for the most part.
He painted God with that season.
Yeah, no, I think I gotta give it over to Brady. I had Breeze in the conversation. I personally just love Drew Brees. Rodgers too is in that conversation, but For me, it was more based on preference. Drew Brees is my favorite quarterback of all time. I do love Tom Brady, Pats fan, and I did bandwagon a little bit on that. But I really, really just love how Drew Brees plays football, and even there was like some comparisons, and this is why I do love like a guy like Bo Nix, because there was like some comparisons coming out to Drew Brees, and I do see like the mechanics in that situation, but obviously Bo Nix is not Drew Brees, at least not Drew Brees yet. And I mean, he had a pretty slow start.
That's right.
He had a pretty slow start to his career, so I mean, maybe Bo Nix takes that second step. But
that's fair. I mean, my favorite quarterback all time is Carson Palmer. If we're not going to count Eli Manning, I'm too biased for that. And he didn't make this list, but he frankly better than a lot of other guys. I'm just talking about him because you said that. Carson Palmer is not on this list. do not mistake that for a second. It's as fantastic as his 2015 run was with the Cardinals.
But he could possibly show up on a college list. We are planning on doing a pure college list and just talking about our top, like the past 25 years or 26 years, our best players, not based on prospects.
The Millennium list.
Yeah, the Millennium list.
In sparkling light, the Millennium list. I came up with that at like 3 a.m. last night when I was chilling in bed. I was like, I love that.
I have the quarter century list. That's what I'm going with, but Millennium still up for me.
And it's only because if we had a 2025, that would be easy. Quarter century, but we could have done 01 technically, but it was weird when you did 01 because then Manning and Brady start to get chipped into. There's no one really. We talk about guys. Larry Allen was a guy that was right on that verge. He had, I think his last All-Pro was 2000.
Yeah.
But he's right there. Warren Sapp was a guy that was right there. Emmett Schmidt. But yeah, Emmett Smith was right there. He didn't make the list for me, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, come on. We actually have Sunday Ball James here, so. he's got the beard and the tail, so we're good. He's got a little stash. He looks like his name's I kind of like Gonzalez low key. He gives a little Gonzalez right now.
Yeah.
But all right, so that's our quarterbacks. I think there's a couple guys that I'm very excited for on the college list.
Yeah.
We are clawing the college
I feel like
list.
that's gonna be a bit more fun because you're like a little bit. You have so much more longevity in his career, whereas in college you really have roughly 3 years left for that guy. So I'm excited to do this one as well, but definitely the college list.
Interesting list.
I feel like there's gonna be more fluctuation between our guys.
I base this list on a lot of All-Pros, first-team All-Pros, some Super Bowls, your impact over time, all-time counting stats, all-time seasons, and those will be taken into account with college, but it's more your all-time season, your peak. Were you able to win a Heisman or two? Were you able to lead your team to a natty? How crazy could you go within 4 years? And a lot of those players, it's only 2 years. It's only 1 year of real peak production, but we're very excited.
No, there's guys that like didn't pan out in the NFL that are going to be back.
100%. Yes.
Like Percy Harvin might be on someone's list.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Kayvon might be on someone's list.
Kayvon might be.
Kayvon's tape.
Kayvon's tape's gross. The wide receiver tape, I can't start on that list. Okay, so I think we should hop into our offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have, just a simple 5-man front. Should we start with our center? I feel like
maybe start with center and then expand outwards.
This was the easiest spot, I would say.
Yeah, this definitely was the most consensus guy that I had, just because there's not really many centers that really stood out. There are guys that we didn't mention, like Nick Mangold, Alex Mack.
Nick Mangold was right there. He was my 3. Alex Mack was my 2.
Number 1 is
Jason Kelsey. He's got 6 first-team All-Pros. He's a Super Bowl caliber. And he's got 2 Super Bowls, man. It's impressive.
And just the vibes alone.
That's true.
You don't get that from a lot of offensive linemen. Just the vibes that they bring out.
He's a big beer guzzling bastard.
And like a lot of the guys we have on this list are not huge, like not big vibes guys, but He's definitely one of them. Yeah, he's definitely one of the few guys that we really talk about. And just to be like undersized at center is fairly impressive, and to still produce at such a high level. Like it's almost like how Aaron Donald was not comparing the two, but just like saying more like how like the undersized guy is still able to produce on the in the trenches. Yeah, just the pure power that he had and how he played the game very mechanically, especially from the interior, which you don't see a lot. You got a lot of guys just really going downhill, pulling. Yeah, it's not as much like a tackle position where footwork's as keen. So yeah, just
Methodical. It's the tail of his chain. It's the low man always. He is always ass to the ground. There's so much power that came from that dude. I mean, seriously. You even see it now when he takes off his shirt on the broadcast. That man has a power gut, bro. That thing is a barrel. And he was a menace. And he's got a spot. He's got a smiley, happy face. But 6 first-team All Pros. That he has a play. It's his play. You can talk about this, that, whatever. They still run it. Jalen Hurts' play, whoever. That's Tush Push is his play.
Yeah.
He has a play that they've talked about banning for years and years and years. And if every other team could do it, they would. But Kelsey was so dominant as a guy that could get low and move the line of scrimmage and move a nose tackle and move a D-tack. That play is unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And to have your own play as an offensive lineman, no one else has that. He has 2 appearances, 1 Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, was he on that last Super Bowl run? But for the Eagles?
Yeah. He retired right after, right?
I thought he retired before.
I think he played 24. Computer. Just retired.
No, he played 24 and then won 25.
No, the year before was technically.
Yeah, so he retired the year before.
He has a Super Bowl, though.
Yeah, no, he has one against the Pats.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, and then the second appearance was when they first played the Chiefs. Yeah, no, that, he's far and away best center that we've seen over the past.
Rest of his Nick Mangold, he genuinely had a say. He had some success, genuinely. It's a shame those Jets teams never did anything.
Yeah.
But they were damn close. I mean, 2 AFC championships in a row, and I wouldn't exactly turn on Mark Sanchez. Their line was insane. And, they had multiple guys, actually, that were in consideration for this list, funnily enough. Talk about the Jets.
Yeah.
We'll keep moving now. Yeah. I'll talk about a Jet here. I guess we should go to the guard spots.
Yeah, we'll go to the guard spots. So my 2 guards are going to be Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson. Both guys Notre Dame products, so I am a bit biased on that. I will watch them both play in Notre Dame. They're just difference makers, and then when they got to the NFL, did the same thing. Barely let up any sacks, and being more like an interior guy, you really like the footwork does not need to be as much as tackle. Like I said before, but just how these guys were able to pull and make.
They redefined the position.
Yeah.
Especially Nelson. They redefined the position. Off the bat, 3 first-team All-Pros is insane. That's genuinely, it's a record. It's close. It's close to never been done before. It's one of the only people to ever do it. Him and Barry Sanders, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's insane.
No. Like even Nelson's more, and that's kind of why like Mahomes wasn't our quarterback, just because his tenure's been a lot shorter than a lot of other guys that we were mentioning. But I mean, the guard position, a lot of guys retired a bit earlier. So to get a guy like Nelson, who was drafted. Tornado. Not in Kansas. Yeah. So those are my 2 guys. I'm a huge Zach Martin fan. Really loved him coming out, and the thing is, guards are just not highly regarded as that important of a position, just based on scheme and stuff. Like people, if we saw in the NFL draft, I think 2 guards got taken in the first round, and I think it was like close to 8 or 9 tackles in the first round. So tackles are definitely more priority. Yeah. So
but a guard can, and these are 2 guards I talk about that they were. We talked about the value of a guard. These people, these players, these men, redefined the position of the guard to what it can be. That it can be the best player on your offensive line, and they can lead your whole team. So I have Zach Martin and I have Alan Paneka. Zach Martin, 7 first team All Pros. I picked him more for his just methodicalness and how calm he is leading an offensive line. That he's able to not freak out when he sees a double team, but he's able to be smart enough to put one hand out and put his back, or really anything else like that. He's great off. He's great getting to the second level. He's not an uber fast guy, but he was. You talk about a center as the quarterback of the offensive line, but he was the quarterback of that Cowboys line that was so insane. Of they could block for anybody. Whether I mean, it's actually very impressive that anybody in that backfield would get crazy yards. I mean,
no, and even with Zach Martin, like it almost looked like he was like slowing down the game on his line. Like just the way he was able to maneuver and play the game, like getting up to the second level, and like even though he wasn't the fastest guy, just being able to just be so good with his footwork and really like
he's in the driver's seat. Man. Yeah, it's very impressive. A lot of guys look like they're chickens with their heads cut off, but he was so in control of what was going on.
Yeah, and shoulders were always
facing,
and like even just how he was setting up double teams, like he was always able to post up with just his right hand being left guard, just post up on like a nose tackle or one tech, and just really allow Travis Frederick or whoever was playing center at the time get on his block so that he can work up to the second level, and just how quickly he was able to just with his hands alone.
Rewatching, I always thought Travis Frederick was really good. He always got a lot of accolades, but rewatching the film, it's a lot more Zach Martin. And Travis Frederick loves to hold. He loves to be sloppy on his blocks and make Zach Martin have to take the responsibility. But I'll get into my next guy, Alan Faneka. I thought the Quentin Nelson thing was interesting, and like I said, just a complete dominant and very impressive start to his career, but the overall longevity of Faneka, the 6 first team All Pros, the multiple Super Bowls, he's the best pulling and second level guard I've ever seen on tape.
Yeah, compared to the other two guys, he's a lot.
It's so smooth. Because you look at him now, he's actually he looks like he was in a concentration camp. Like he actually lost so much weight. Like it's crazy, but that's how he's supposed to be. Well, that's his actual buildup, and it shows why he was so quick. That I've never seen anyone be able to slip off a block, make sure he was kept, and then get to his next guy. And so many times in the film, he gives his whole body and just flings it. And it's crazy that that shit worked, and it was so impressive. Lead blocking for the bus all those years. He also had stints with the Jets, and it shows on the Jets because he was on those big teams. He had instant chemistry with DeBrickshaw Ferguson.
Yeah.
They have two guards that can. It's very. Oh no, I guess DeBrickshaw was it Brickshaw LT at that point? Yeah, Brickshaw was playing left tackle, and they have just instant chemistry, and it's so smooth blocking for teams that were making AFC championships. He has the accolades. He has the career stats. He has the overall prime production. When it's all said and done, there might be an argument for Quentin Nelson here. Genuinely, as he made.
Yeah, no.
But he's my guy, Alan Faneka. The tape impressed me so much. I haven't watched much Alan Faneka tape before yesterday, and it was very impressive. It really was.
No. I haven't done as much research on Faneka just because he was.
It's like a mid-2000s guard.
Yeah, we were like 6, maybe. Between ages 3.
Yes.
But no, he was fairly impressive from what I've seen and just how he built. I'm taking the upside on Quentin Nelson just because I love Quentin Nelson, like him coming out and like guards get drafted at 6th overall. And I actually looked back at this, and the Panthers drafted a guard at 6th overall a couple of years ago. Like I'm gonna.
It's IKEA. It's like IKEA. ICHEA.
Yeah. No. And I was like thinking about it. But Quentin Nelson was probably the best guard prospect coming out, and
you're gonna take a guy top 10 as a guard. He better be fantastic. We talked about how much we loved Ione, and he was number 14.
Yeah.
And that was a no-brainer pick by the Ravens, seriously.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him. I could have seen him going to multiple teams before that. Like I was saying, how his third two is absurd.
Like I've grown now Noah, but I would have been very happy with him, especially if you're going to be playing in the guard anyway. We've talked about this now.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about our tackles now?
Yeah, we go into tackles. So my first tackle is going to be Joe Thomas. He had 10.
He has 10 Pro Bowls, 6 first-team All-Pros, and the thing that was most impressive to me, and how bad those Browns teams were, if you remember, but over 10,000 snaps in a row. Yeah. He's the best offensive lineman of the 21st century. It's actually pretty clear.
Yeah.
Nobody even has something to say, and it's tough that he rotted away, and I hate to say that word, but it really felt like that. He never made the playoffs once. Rotted away on that Cleveland Browns team, and they were so bad, just with a rotation of quarterbacks, and at that point, they didn't even have a solid running back. It was just brutal, and you almost feel for it.
I'm trying to think, it was like mid 2010s.
Like Willis McGahee, Peyton Hillis. He probably blocks with Peyton Hillis. That's something.
Corral was on there.
Corral was a little later, but yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no one really.
Yeah. They're just still the Browns were never a team that was ever any good.
T. Rich had an okay season behind him, I suppose.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing the same thing with Myles Garrett now. The thing is, Browns will hold on to their guys, and Garrett could have made the decision to walk free agency, but just the contract alone, Browns.
But it's in his hands now. He can't complain. He can't ask for a trade. He just might if it's that good. You can get what you want if you're the best defensive player in the NFL. Reigning deep boy. Insane. He's broke the sack record.
Yes.
But, he's the best tackle by far, best lineman in this 21st century. Who's your number 2?
I had Trent Williams. How Trent Williams has been a cornerstone for, even when he was on the Skins, he was still a great offensive lineman. Yeah. There's not and those Redskins teams were not really anything to brag about. But no, he was definitely good there, which gave him that Niners contract. And ever since he came to the Niners, he's been consensus.
He signed a new deal.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. No, and the longevity alone is absurd too. So he is really got to be the number 2 here. Mm-hmm. There are a few other guys, but he was the only guy that these 2 guys were the only 2 guys I really thought of when I was making my list.
I was just split between Lane Johnson and Trent Williams here. I remember Trent Williams based off of Lane Johnson has more first team All-Pros.
Yeah.
But just thinking about, and it's tough to put 2 Eagles on here, that was also kind of a motivator. 2 guys that have played on the same offensive line. It's tough to put, so I would probably put the quarterback of that offensive line rather than a tackle, even as good as Lane Johnson is. He's so good, he could play tight end. That's how impressive he is. He's the 3rd best by pretty clearly. But Trent Williams got the nod for me because at the end of the day, if you put them on 2, and this mattered a little bit, that's why the Faneka got the nod over Nelson, to be able to perform in not just one scheme, but go to a completely different one and still perform, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So for Trent Williams to go and still continue his dominance, if anything, enter a career renaissance, making multiple Super Bowls, it's so impressive to me. And I would rather his peak production over Lane Johnson, as good as he is, if I was starting a team and I could pick any 2 linemen from the 21st century, there's no one I'd rather have than Joe Thomas and Trent Williams.
Yeah. No, and the thing is with Trent Williams versus Lane Johnson, I think their asset is pretty similar. I think they're both very good.
So mobile.
Yeah, they're both very good, but I think Trent's better run blocker. Even the way that Shanahan was using him, lining him up at a wing set, and just letting him fall on. That was the first time we've seen a guy really do that. There's teams that try to recreate it with other players, and it's just not as effective because of how diligent and disciplined he is with his footwork. And you see that a lot out of tackles, like really the pass setting footwork and the run blocking footwork, but just his ability to be able to pull them in space and really make them. And like Lane Johnson, I feel like it's more of a product of how good the Eagles were over the years, where he wasn't really ever put in a situation where he's really going to be that sort of lead blocker. Whereas Trent Williams was able to really just do everything at a very high level.
I agree. There's nobody I would fear more trying to make a tackle than Trent Williams lead blocking.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't even know what I would do. What do you do there?
Yeah, we saw the
dip low. He's gonna stuff the face into the mud. Yeah. It's gonna be tough.
No, even like
you go high. Bye.
The resurgence with
We're in this stance now.
Michael
Orr. But it's true. Yes, he's been a lead blocker for. I mean, he has that huge Alfred Morris season under his belt. And yeah, the Redskins and the Commanders lacked a lot of serious talent while he was there, but when he did receive the talent he needed, he was able to produce pretty good teams, multiple playoff performances.
Yeah, even with the Niners, there was a few seasons where CMC was banged up really high. CMC got it. Even Jordan Mason, you got a pretty good deal with the Vikings. We're not really being that effective with the run. Like, he's not a pass catching guy. He's more like a downhill guy.
Especially with
Matt Burrito got a contract for who knows who. That's disgusting in the Niners. He then went to Miami and had a very good season. Eventually got taken over by AJ.
Nasty. One of the fastest running backs I've ever seen.
Yeah. So,
breakaway speed.
Yeah. That's the thing. You kind of always bet on like a Niners running back that good season. Trumbull is still there.
All right, so I think that's our lineman, and this is where the fun began, I have to say. And I think for this, we're going to get into our wide receivers right now. I think we should number them. You want to do tight end first? Okay, I like that. All right.
So for my tight end, bit biased, and I did want to pair him up with his quarterback, so I have Rob Gronkowski. I absolutely think he is the best at doing both. There were guys that were on this list, like Kelsey and Gonzalez. Those are honestly the other two guys that
Gates
I have.
Gets a say. Whitting gets a say.
Whitting.
Dallas Clark gets a say. Graham definitely gets a say.
Yeah. So there were a lot of guys, but out of all these guys, I feel like Gronk is the best blocker. I mean, Dallas Clark could rival him, but just the best at doing both.
Clark can have what Gronk has.
Yeah, no, and just being a 6'6", I think he was 6'6", like 270, went like lightweight.
And he looks more like 6'7".
And yeah. And he was able to be an effective run blocker, whereas a lot of these guys are more like that hybrid speed based guys. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was an extra tackle, and I think that was a lot of success that Nate Solder got, and Sebastian Ballmer. Yeah. Which one?
After doing research for this, we did like Logan Jenkins.
Yeah, Logan Jenkins. Yeah.
Marshall Yonda had to say.
Yeah.
Yonda was tough because I couldn't cut the guy for Yonda, but I did like it.
Yeah, Yonda's really good, but yeah, this is where I like Brock may not be the best receiver out of all these guys. Like I think Kelsey and Gonzalez do have him on that. Even Graham. But just being able to line up as an inline tight end, he's kind of like the last of that breed that's able to do both. And him after the catch is phenomenal. Super Bowls alone, he was the main receiving threat, especially like in the Seahawks Super Bowl, Falcons Super Bowl. Like I think he was hurt for the Falcons Super Bowl. He was. But just being able to be that guy that's able to do both at such a high level, and a lot of his career was limited by injuries, but when he was on the field, he was the most valuable target for Brady.
I agree with Dylan. They're kind of space on that. I think it's besides the 49ers and Bryce, probably the greatest tandem of all time. Because they have a say better than Montana or Young. If you put them two together, Bryce is the best. Bryce is literally my GOAT. He's better than any of these guys.
Yeah, the only thing is with Montana and Bryce is that they both did it to the point where they got the same amount of Super Bowls as Brady.
That's true. That is definitely true.
Yeah, Brady and Gronk. So, I mean, they both had 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Brady, when he went to Tampa, he did have Super Bowl. Gronk, so. But, yeah.
Their Tampa Super Bowl is very impressive to me. We talked about it a little earlier, but 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl. I believe he has the most receiving yards in playoff history. I believe it's Gronk. It's close. Good fact check. I believe I stumbled upon that. I think it's 1450 or something. It's pretty impressive. But Rice, it could be Rice. That's the thing. It really could be Rice. And I would not doubt that for a second. He's got the most of it. Oh, that's true. Actually, Kelsey's so high. Doing research for this episode. There's no PFF sucks. I hate PFF. I'm sorry, but I can't comb through 25 years of stats. Just have like a compiled list or something. It's annoying, but whatever. We're not gonna go there. But for my list, it was very very close between Gonzalez and Gronk. Gonzalez has the All Pros. He played in an era where he was the consensus best tight end of all time. He retired as the best tight end of all time. That's not even a discussion. He did because Kelsey and Gronk didn't exist yet. Frankly, Kelsey and Gronk have very similar career accolades. You go down the list, it's very similar. But Gronk gets the nod over Kelsey for me because of Kelsey's still doing it, but Gronk has that period of pure. He has 4 All Pros. He has from 2011 to 2017, he has 4 first team All Pros. It's insanely impressive. He's got 4 Super Bowls. He was on the All 2000s team, and he actually is a tight end for the Century team, the 100th anniversary team, which is big for me because that means that the NFL and all their voters also believe that he's the best of all time. Yeah. Gonzalez is amazing, and he has the career accolades. And frankly, if you look at a list besides them, he probably gets it. But his just performance in Super Bowls and playoffs in general, being not just a safety valve, but a number 1 option for multiple Super Bowls is extremely impressive as a tight end. Something Gonzalez did never do. And Tony really is great. He's my number 2, and it's really more like a 1B just because of how impressive it is. But Gronk does get the nod for me. The blocking, even you said, that's a great argument.
Yeah, no, and that's like a big thing that we don't see out a lot of tight ends, and and I think that is why his longevity, not even longevity, but more his injury history was so extensive. Same thing with Kittle too. I think being
Gronk like smash, Gronk like party, Gronk like hit.
I think that's why that position's kind of dying a bit more. The inline blocking tight end being a valid receiving option because of how much more time they're spending on the field than even receivers because they're rotating through. Like they're guys that you want blocking downhill and just putting them in the trenches, like that puts you in such a more vulnerable position to get injured.
Those are the last top tier guy, and dealt with his fair share of injuries. And I love Warren as a blocker. I think he has insane potential there. Yeah. But same thing to be said is that if you make him, teams love now having a blocking tight end and having a receiving tight end. And we've seen that with where guys are drafted. Sadiq's not much of a blocker. Kyle Pitts is not much of a blocker, but they're both high first end guys. And there's so many guys like that as well. Yeah. Bowers is an okay blocker, but he also deals with his fair share of injuries.
Yeah.
And it's very impressive what Gronk was able to do. Be, like you said, a 6th lineman. Great in the pass and the run, and also a gross threat where on a post, on an out, or on a corner, he was a touchdown threat.
Yeah.
And that's to run over guys and some of the plays he has. His highlights are insane.
His highlights are insane. Contact balance, being 6'6" does help, but just how he was able to move, and the thing is with the other guys that we did mention at tight end, so much smoother. Gronk is not a smooth player. Mm-hmm. You see him run with the football. It's not the prettiest thing in the world.
He kind of runs like Frankenstein a little bit.
So does Gronk's like Gronk eat football.
No, Gronk can't eat football.
Gronk should hear them. And honestly, I can't think of another tight end that had an end cover. No. Yeah. Not that says anything, but
it says a little bit, Why pivot a little bit? I mean, Peyton Hillis does have one as well, but fair.
Yeah, there are some guys that have it.
A couple guys that are a little finicky, I have to admit.
Yeah. Trying to get the guys aside from Hillis.
Random guys.
Yeah.
McNair has a good one. Sean Alexander's on an early one, which he deserved. That was a big season for him. 09 is that Breeze?
Yeah, Breeze was 11.
Is Fitzgerald and Palomalu,
Yeah.
which is deserved. Whatever. They'll be guys we mentioned at the very least. 2011. 08 was McNair. 11 was Breeze. 12 was Peyton Hillis. 13 was Calvin Johnson. 14 was Adrian Peterson and Barry Sanders. They did the both. It was a 25-14. Yeah. 15 was 16 was OBJ. 15 was 2015. And 15. It's not AP again. Not CJ.
CJ was OB.
Yeah. Wait. CJ, wait. I know. Oh. Yeah. It was 2015. Madden 15. Oh, it's Richard Sherman. It's him dropping back in pass coverage. That's a gross cover.
Yeah.
I love that cover. Yeah. Never mind.
That's the thing. Like, a lot of these guys aren't some of the best players in football, but like, Peyton Hillis was probably the most.
He won the vote over Michael Vick. I love it. I did. Yeah. And Vick's got 04 ESPN, which is one of the best games. 05 is that Ray Lewis on the cover? No, that's not a McNabb on that cover. 2K5. I've always wanted that game. I gotta buy it for GameCube because I've heard it's insane. I've heard the career mode is nuts. I've never gotten the privilege to play it. It's a tough game to get. Yeah. This year? Is it?
I'm leaning either Puka.
Puka would be interesting.
I think Puka might get it. JSN had an absurd season.
Yeah, JSN would be interesting.
CMC might get one.
But like Jonathan Taylor, I don't think they'll give JT.
Maybe Bijan.
Does Miles Garrett have one yet? No. Garrett's interesting. I'd like to see it again.
I think Garrett's.
Yeah.
I think he's
TJ Watt has one. TJ Watt's 20. I don't buy the new Maddens.
Yeah,
they're not good games. They're my childhood, but they're not very good anymore.
I think the last Madden I bought was probably 7.
Yeah. I think mine was 20.
20
was the Brady Mahomes. Yeah. That's a good intro. I can't lie. It's a very goaty intro. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. That's a fun. That cover's gonna be fun this year too. Is it Dante Moore, Arch, and Chambliss? Yeah.
He's coming back too.
Because they're not gonna go with a wide receiver. Yeah. Interesting. I don't hate that. Yeah. Lacey recognized. Interesting actually. Yeah. Who could they go with? Unless they do one of the collab covers again, because then we'll probably see.
They did it the past 2 years in a row.
Are we ready for like a full cover athlete?
Yeah.
Like, are we ready for that? I think we're there. What? For college football, like a full cover athlete again. Like, are we at that point yet? That's because it's been a lot of collaborative covers, multiple guys. Are we at the point where college football's toe back, but we can pick a front man again? It's been a while. We don't have a Tebow, of course we don't. But
the thing is, I just don't think
we don't have a Vince Young, we don't have a Tebow, we don't have a Bradford. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. College football is so spread out, and like with Madden, you have 32. College football, you have.
But if we had a guy that was coming back as a Heisman, somebody that let's say Mendoza had another year.
Yeah.
It probably would like be Mendoza, but it doesn't look like we're gonna have a guy that has like real. I mean, I don't know, because I don't know if they like Arch enough to genuinely put him on the cover.
I think they did Ewers 2 years.
They did Ewers.
So I think I might stay away from Texas. They did it 2 years ago.
I think Moore's definitely on it. I think Moore even could argue for the top spot.
Yeah.
But I would not hate to have him just on the cover by himself. I would be fine with that. He's probably the only guy with a say at that. It's not Sellers. It's none of those real guys. Obviously you're not putting Sam Levitt, but you kind of could because he's been around for so long.
But the thing is, I wouldn't want to put a transfer guy on there just because of the transfer portal.
Lane Kiffin right in the front, just cheesing. Lane Kiffin straight cheese. And with Livy Dunn. That's it. would buy that game. I would buy it either way. So.
Yeah.
But all right. Enough with the covers. Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, I think this would be really fun to do a wide receiver 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
It's that type of list.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably have the same wide receiver 1. Who's your best guy?
I have Calvin.
Interesting.
Yeah, Calvin's my number 1.
Woo!
Overall, based on his prime run, so he really only played, I think, 9 or 10 years, somewhere in the ballpark. He was the most dominant receiver in that run. There are guys that were towards the tail end of his career that started picking up, like AB and Julio, but for a great stretch of time, there are some plays that Calvin Johnson made that I cannot even believe are realistic. And my biggest thing is, like, a lot of the other guys I have on here, Calvin did not have the best quarterback play out of the other guys I have on this list.
I mean, it was impressive, but he also had no other help. He was getting doubled.
Yeah, no other help, and I mean, like, he was still, and those Lions teams were absolutely horrible.
Playoffs only because of those two dudes.
No, I think they only made playoffs once.
Playoffs once they never won.
Yeah, no, they lost in first round to the Cowboys. Yeah, so the Lions have never been an impressive team, but the best player on the team was Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do attribute a good amount of success to Stafford's ability just up. Like, he's a slinger. But throwing up a 50-50 ball and knowing it's not a 50-50 ball, knowing it's a 90-10 ball, gives you a lot more confidence. And there are the other two guys on my list are very much in that ballpark too. And I was looking for more like a slot guy that I really wanted to throw in here, but just the other two guys really spoke volumes to me.
That's fair.
So I have Calvin at 1. And number 2, I have Randy. The biggest part is Randy did have a few down years, whereas Calvin was always, as long as Stafford was healthy, as long as he was healthy, always producing at a very, very high level. With Moss, his peak with Brady with 23 receiving touchdowns is phenomenal. He did a lot of his work in the 90s too, so that's kind of why it happened too. But during the 2000s, he was a premier guy, and that was before Calvin got there. And just the things he was able to do, and like he was one of the few guys that went against Revis that really dominated. Like there was even though it wasn't Revis' time last year, he was able to beat him, and just how impressive he actually is, and I'm just for him alone, and like I guess he has his own saying after his last name. You got lost. Like, it's the same thing. It's not a...
The reception is 163 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think that was his...
Disgusting. That was in the 90s, but disgusting.
That was like on Thanksgiving Day.
And he's the only guy that is really on our list that still has a really big part of his career in the 90s. He has an All-Pro in the 90s. But his second All-Pro starts in 2000. He gets 4 more. So he's really the only dude that makes his way onto this list while having a chunk of his prime in the 90s, which was pretty detrimental for the rest of our players in this list. But he's so good despite that.
Yes. So are those the first two guys?
I don't know. You go next.
You
keep going. Come on, say the list.
Yeah.
I want to go into.
So my last one is going to be Julio Jones. I was debating a few other guys here. Larry Fitzgerald, based on longevity alone, but he only had 1 All-Pro, and granted, him and Julio did the same exact thing with their best season. Julio's being in 2015 when they made the Super Bowl, Fitz's being in 08 when they made the Super Bowl, and both those guys were complete difference makers on their team, and without them, they would not even be remotely close. And then my last guy that I was really considering was Antonio Brown. The thing is with Antonio Brown is his stretch and his prime were so electric and amazing. I think it was like a 6-year stretch, something like that. But they never really did anything. And when they were in the playoffs, he was not really a huge factor. Granted, this is closer towards the end of Ben's career. but during the regular season, he was one of the best. And if we were just basing this on regular season alone, I would have him over Julio or Fitz. But just the fact that they were able to be the most dominant threats in that entire offense, it really spoke volumes to me, and lead their not lead their team necessarily, but be the difference maker that made them Super Bowl contenders rather than just team that's getting. I think the furthest they went was divisional against the Jags. Yeah, I think that's as far as AB went.
Which is tough because those Ben Bell Brown teams were very talented, and it seemed that at the end it really was a Big Ben thing.
Yeah,
that he couldn't get over the hump and everyone else could.
Yeah.
And the Bell thing ended in flames. We all remember that.
That's the thing. Like
The Brown thing ended in flames too. Don't get it twisted. That actually ended in worse flames. But
he also had Bell. Bell was. They did have to stack the box against him, and that allowed a lot of opportunities for AB to produce. And the Falcons did have Devonta Freeman, but I feel like more of his success was due to Julio being such a factor on the outside. And Larry Fitz has gone through his fair share of just not great situations. So
Michael Turbin was that.
Yes. Yeah. So I got Julio as my last one.
All right. So I'll hop into mine. My wide receiver 1. This was pretty clear to me, and he's the second best wide receiver of all time. Yeah, you take a hit because of, like we said, part of his prime was in the 90s, but it's Randy Moss. Randy Moss is my 1. He has 4 first-team All-Pros, and from 2000 to 2007, he has 4 first-team All-Pros. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL, and even though it seemed like it was all over with the Raiders, he went to the Patriots and had one of the greatest wide receiver seasons of all time. 23 touchdowns is insane. And if it's not for Calvin Johnson, he might have the greatest wide receiver season of the 21st century. To keep it quick, Calvin's my number 2, but Randy wins in that matchup because of the longevity. He was even on the 49ers roster in 2012 on the Super Bowl team. That's a long time, and it's tough at the wide receiver position. It's I don't mean to discount Calvin because of all that, because of just his peak, and he's my number 2 because he has the most dominant run from 11 to 13 with the greatest wide receiver season I've ever witnessed with my 2 eyes. I was only 9 at the time, but I remember that last game where he broke the record, and it was insane. It's so much yards, man. To almost have 2,000 yards as a wide receiver to carry a team that they know the ball, they know where the ball is going at that point, and you can't do anything about it. It's very impressive. He's my 2, and I wish he got the treatment that a couple other guys got, and the Mike Evans got that. Not much success, and then was able to win a ring late in his career. He's still doing it. And I guess late is tough because Mike Evans is a guy that's went forever. And he actually has the counting stats.
I actually really do have upside for Mike Evans.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how he produces and Brandon.
But to talk about Randy Moss a little bit more, he also has the 10-plus seasons of 10 of 1,000, and it's not like Mike Evans where he has a couple where he's skinning by his teeth. Most of them are past 1,000 by a decent margin, and that's very impressive to me. He is my wide receiver 1. Calvin's my number 2. He went all pro from 11 to 13. It's a short stretch for sure because he retired early, and Matthew Stafford's talked about as a Hall of Fame quarterback, but this is not Rams Matthew Stafford we're talking about. He's very prone to make mistakes, very much throw it up and see what happens, and that was to the benefit of his a lot of the time, but he could have used just a better roster all around, maybe a legitimate wide receiver 2, and that would have helped. And I know they had Tate at the way end, but he could have used a serious wide receiver 2 and an actual tight end. And my wide receiver 3 is very tough. This was a spot that, all the guys you talked about are much in there. Larry Fitzgerald is my wide receiver 4, actually. I wanted to give this to Fitz. It felt this is his spot, and in an all-time ranking, Fitz is higher than AB and Julio. I'm pretty solid on that. But the peak value is tough because he has 1 first-team All-Pro, 09. They went to the Super Bowl that season. He was extremely effective. It's Larry Fitzgerald. He has more tackles than drops. I mean, he is the pinnacle of professionalism, the pinnacle of success. Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's a role model. I love Larry Fitzgerald. He's one of my favorite wide receivers of all time, but he's missing the top tier impact and the absolute peak of Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown's a wide receiver 3. I love AB, and I wish he never went insane because he was so good. He's so talented. Even at the end of his career, when he lost his shit by then. He was out of his brains. And he was still an effective Super Bowl wide receiver. It's very impressive, actually. That's where he got his Super Bowl. And he has 6 seasons in a row from, when are the years? We have from 11 to 18, I believe 11 to 18 of 100 receptions, which is very impressive. I mean, you remember the fantasy seasons. He was wide receiver 1 multiple seasons. It was his real peak that stood out to me from 14 to 17 of the consensus best wide receiver in the NFL. And I know it was a debate at the time between him and Julio. That was the big thing. But at least in my head at the time, it always felt like Antonio Brown was the one. Yes, they were different players, of course, but he's so silky. His routes are insane. He's so easily able to get open. It's very impressive. His route tree is something that he made up. Some of his turn and twist routes, he'll do a mid route pivot, turn to his back foot, and it's insane. And he's still doing that even at the end of his career when he's fully lost his shit. He's still a productive wide receiver 3 because despite even if the mental's gone, he's that good. And I'm not using that as an argument. I'm just saying that in his prime, he was the best wide receiver in the NFL. And it sucks for Julio because Julio was so good, but there was never really a period in AB's prime where I felt that Julio was the wide receiver 1. And it was tight. Don't get it twisted. They're very different players. Yeah. They're very different players. And he might have made a bigger difference to team success, Julio, because he was a double team type of guy. You don't really double AB. That's a weird thing because, one season you do double him, Juju goes for a crap ton of yards.
And then Bell's operating.
Mm-hmm. And it's a different, they're 2 different players. And I don't mean to discount Julio. Julio's my 5, and maybe I could argue with 4 because he does have the peak argument over Larry, but Larry Fitzgerald is so good, man. I love Larry Fitzgerald. He's truly my favorite wide receiver. He actually might be my favorite wide receiver of all time. He's right there.
Yeah.
I love Plaxico. I love Hakeem Nicks. I'm not just going to name Giants. I really like Scotty Miller. Actually, I love Demaryius Thomas. I love Vincent Jackson. Those are my guys. Yeah. Those are my guys. I love Josh Gordon. Flash was awesome. I talk about Flash a lot just because it's one of the craziest seasons. I still have his 2013 Pro Bowl season in the closet. I'd have to dig it up. It's somewhere around there.
Yeah, no, but I'm surprised you kept those guys off the list, but or just mention Hunter Renfrow.
I do love Renfrow, but we didn't even, we really didn't talk about who has a great say and is probably higher than a lot of these guys all the time. It's Marvin Harrison, and I didn't want to go Marv here because he's got the stats, he's got the all-pros, but those teams were so loaded and they almost didn't do much with it. Yeah. It's tough because he really is right there, but I would take Larry Fitzgerald all time over Marvin Harrison.
That one Super Bowl with how good that offense was.
Yeah, and you had Reggie Wayne most of the time. You had Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne is insane. You had Peyton. Yeah, Dallas Clark. That team is so good. Besides having all those linemen, Jeff Saturday was in the center conversation. He's probably my number 4 behind Mangold. Another guy, I suppose. Who else did I really like?
Wide receivers.
No, I'm thinking about centers. I'm thinking about Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey has 2 first-team All-Pros, which is actually very impressive. Mo Pouncey, obviously. But I really like our list. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, no, and I do think Larry or AB, with the other 2 receivers we have, I feel like that's a better fit because we could very well play a lot. And, I mean, granted, we are talking about the past 25 years, but, I mean, who knows, Justin Jefferson could have a say if we're doing
That's true.
Somewhere along those lines, because Jefferson is right now probably the best receiver in football.
Yeah, I think talent-wise,
probably after his rookie year, he's been the best receiver in football.
Yeah. Justin will have it say at this list. Again, I think he's primed for a comeback season. It's not to say comeback because he never lost the step. Yeah. It's more quarterback.
I think he's went for 1,000 every single career.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he really is so good. I think he's a genuine step above anyone else in the NFL. I don't think it's that close. I love Jamar, but he's better than Jamar Chase.
It depends on preference. It really does depend on preference, but I feel like it's more like with Jamar it's more yards after the catch. It's almost like having another running back. Yeah. It's almost an extension of your running game. Whereas Jefferson, even though he's more dependent, like Jamar's going to eat no matter what happens.
Jamar's the moss and Jefferson's the rice. Jefferson, he's so sound. He's so mechanically sound. Yeah, there's nothing I don't like about Justin Jefferson's game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Not much I don't like about Jamar Chase either, but
yeah, Jamar Chase is more like another running back, having another guy, like more like a Steve Smith type. I feel like he's a bigger version of Steve Smith.
They both have triple crown. They both have triple crown, I believe. Triple crown, I believe. So, which is very impressive.
But I feel like Jefferson's production is more based on how quarterback play is, and I feel like Jamar's going to be able to produce no matter what. Whereas Jefferson is not so dependent, but he is much more dependent.
I agree with you. I think he gets open, but he needs the ball to be put where it has to be. He's open, but you got to put it in the pocket. Jamar's gonna be It's gonna be around there, in the general proximity.
Like if he's outside, if he's between the hash and the sideline, if the ball's put anywhere between there, Jefferson's gonna find it.
Almost JJ put it in the dirt. Or either straight or very rarely will like right here.
No, you even saw that a lot this year. He was just very. Yeah. There was times he was almost taking plays off because he knew the ball was never going to go near him. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what Kyler's able to do this year and to see hopefully a resurgence in his career. I'm not a big Kyler fan personally, but I didn't like him coming out. I thought he was the best quarterback prospect in that draft, but even though that's very hard to say because I think quarterbacks are overinflated when it comes to drafting, especially since Kyler's draft. Like I feel like
very quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Young guys.
Yeah, like even like
some paid off,
but even like that Trevor Lawrence year.
It's the JJ taken early. It's the Michael Penix taken at 8. It's the top tier's still there. Like that core of May, Williams, and Daniels. That's a great core. Yeah. But then that it's become the point where teams are rushing to get quarterback 4 and 5. And 4 and 5 are not. I didn't have a first round grade on Nix. I like Nix. I think he's a really sound quarterback, but he was not a first round quarterback.
I don't late second, really third on Penix.
Fair. I like Penix, but I didn't love Penix.
I don't late first, early second on Nix. But more because of his character and like how he plays. Not to say anything against Penix or anything like that, but yeah, just Penix's injury history was the biggest concern for me when he was coming out, and then Nick's just like leadership position and how pro ready he was. I felt like it seemed like the Broncos could succeed.
It was a perfect fit. It was an absolute perfect fit.
But I also think if he went to another offense that was in more of a contender position, like coming off the down year, like I feel like if the Niners and Purdy didn't work out, I feel like he would have been a decent fit there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's Purdy better than Nick's. I think he's a pure better thrower,
and maybe if the Rams didn't get Stafford, something along those lines.
It's really underrated how great that Super Bowl would have been this year if he never got hurt.
Yeah.
Imagine that Seahawks-Broncos Super Bowl. It would have been insane. The two best I guess at that point.
It would have been 3-2. It would have been fun. It would have been lower than most hockey stars.
Like the two best defenses in football versus two mid offenses. I guess I take the Seahawks in that matchup because they do. But then again, the Broncos have a better defense than the Seahawks did.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. I'm excited for the Broncos this year. I really think it's their year because of what the Rams did in the draft. I don't think they drafted that. Yeah, no, and even like going late and going 10
I love the Waddle into that offense. So I love Troy Franklin. Don't get me wrong, but it's Jalen Waddle. He's a genuine all-pro caliber wide receiver. Like he's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Amon-Ra. He's not Puka. But he's right there.
Having an opposite of Cortland Sutton. And I think Cortland Sutton's actually going to be able to line up on the outside and not have to be as reliant upon a slot guy.
Let Waddle play the slot. Waddle's slimy.
Yeah.
So shifty.
Yeah, let him play the slot. That's where I think he's going to operate his best. And then Troy Franklin more takes over that deep threat role.
Yes.
They're playing running back by committee, and we've seen that really work well for a lot of teams in the past. And they have one of the best offensive lines. So it's really dependent on if Bo Nix could really take that next step and be.
Even if he was last year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If he can start cracking that top 10 mark next season, I think the Super Bowl's in there. If it's not this year, it's the following year because that defense is still one of the best in the league.
Really tap into his safe but rushing ability. There is another type of tier I could see him getting into where it could be scary. Like talk about how Purdy uses his legs, and Purdy doesn't take huge hits.
Yeah.
But
neither does Nix, really.
Neither does Nix. Yeah. But I mean, just to keep that safety in mind because it's tough to run out a quarterback and say, hey, you're going to be running now. That's how you kill a quarterback. That's how you kill a team.
Well, I feel like that's the thing with Purdy is like when they first started, they just did not expect it to be that better than that.
Yes.
So they had to start running the ball when he first started for Niners, and then they just continued it because it was such a effective tool.
Yeah.
And his improvisability out of Purdy is something that I don't really see out of Nix as much.
Yeah.
Just because I think Purdy's able to really operate from outside the pocket well and be a great decision maker outside the pocket. I think Nix is more of a 5-step drop, read the defense. He's a very good reader of the defense, but I think he's more going to be that guy that, and I saw this in his college tape a lot. When he gets out of his third, fourth read, I think he's going to be more like step up, take off, more like that Carson Wentz vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like his season, I feel like his ceiling is really that MVP caliber Carson Wentz. I feel like that's his. I feel like that's his upside, but also that year with Wentz was.
I go to Derek Carr's MVP caliber season.
Yeah. And that's where
they remind me of similar players. They're very similar builds, similar athleticism.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a hint more of a bulky build than Carr did. But
yeah, that's kind of why I had like Wentz. I kind of see more, but I think he's slightly better. And Wentz was more like an improviser.
Yeah. But we actually sometimes save the best for last.
RBs.
Oh yeah. We're not gonna be talking about fullbacks today. I'm sorry. We love fullbacks here. We really do. I have a heart. There's a place in my heart, a very soft place in my heart for fullbacks, and they can't make this list because there's so many better guys than the fullbacks we talked about. Running backs, and we talked about this before the pod, but there's so many running backs that we'd rather have at fullback than the best fullback. The best fullback is Kyle Juszczyk. He technically gets our spot because he has 9 Pro Bowls in a row. He's completely redefined the position. He's single-handedly keeping it alive. As much as we love Alec Ingold and Pat Ricard, it's Kyle Juszczyk's position. He's the fullback.
Yeah.
It's a pencil in that he's going to get the All-Pro nod every season or the Pro Bowl nod, and it's very impressive. But that's as much as I want to talk about fullbacks today because we have some big ass and some quick ass running backs to talk about today.
Yeah. So my number 1 running back is going to be Adrian Peterson. There's not really much I can say, just based on how minuscule that Minnesota Vikings run was with him, there, it was the difference maker. I've never seen a guy backpack a team like he has, and that's kind of where I have the separation between him and a lot of other guys. And granted, he's never been to a Super Bowl, and the thing is, like, coming off of an ACL tear and then winning MVP and single-handedly carrying your team to the playoffs, like that is unbelievable. That's why I have him at my number 1. I just think without him, I don't be as much. I don't even see the Vikings being in the same spot that they are now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
his
influence on the franchise really dug them out of that hole where like the Lions and the Browns were because they were in consideration for that. And unlike Calvin Johnson with the Lions, like there was AP was always able to produce and have a good season where the Vikings were always in consideration for not being a bottom five team.
Yeah.
So that's why I have AP. Just the intangibles alone. Like a lot of these other guys, like their stats speak for themselves, but just
his stats speak for himself too. He's got plenty of stats.
The stats are ridiculous, but just the build alone, just being like a bigger guy who's able to really do it all. Not like the best pass catcher, but just being able to be like a one cut guy as well as being able to make people miss in space is why I have him at my number one. And I had his jersey and I grew up loving this guy. I thought he was the consensus best running back for that period of time for a while. Because like even like I think the number two might have been like LaShawn McCoy or Marshawn.
He was right there. LaShawn McCoy had a good say.
Yeah. The thing is like AP was
always
I feel like these guys were very like sporadic, whereas AP was always that guy that was
he was when he was in. He was the best running back, and his 2012 MVP is so impressive. Not just that it was a comeback, but he could have broke the record and he decided not to. It wasn't that. I love Bam, and Bam scored 83, so we can do anything we want. We can do anything in this world because Bam has 83 points, but he was not foul baiting to get there. It's not a Michael Strahan type of award. He decided at the end of the game that he did not need those 9 extra yards. And that's so impressive to me that he said, let's get this win and let's leave. I don't care about this. When he's have the rushing record, that's an insane accomplishment. That's an insane statistic to even have to your name. And it's very impressive. He's got the second most yards all time in the season with 2,097. Dickerson's got the best. Yeah, Dickerson's got the most. It's very impressive, and he has 4 first-team All-Pros. He's also my number one, so I'll get into this. It's ridiculous. He had 2,097 yards in 2012. Just the combination of everything: speed, power, agility. He had the cuts if he needed to, and he'll also run through your face. It's the best running back I've ever seen in live games. There's somebody on my list that I think is right with him, and he's more of a versatile player, and he has better counting stats per se, better fantasy points. But Adrian Peterson is the running back I'd pick out of anyone this century to be my running back. It's just a combination of everything, and he's in those top 5 conversations for all time for sure. I mean, he's right there with Smith and Brown and Payton and Barry Sanders. It's very, very impressive. I love Adrian Peterson. It was very close between my 1 and my 2 when I went back and forth, but Adrian Peterson does gain my number 1 spot.
Yeah, I have AP as my number 1 alone. I just think he was there just based on intangibles more than anything else, and how poor that Minnesota Vikings era that he was in. Yeah. And the fact that he was going to other teams at the end of his career, he bounced around a lot and produced very well, was impressive. It was very impressive. And I'll get into my number 2 guy right now. That's going to be Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry. There was another guy I think I think this is the guy you're probably referencing too, so I'm not gonna speak on him too much. But the thing is with Derrick Henry is he was not really a receiving threat like a few other guys, and really just not that different from everyone else. But he really carried his team to AFC championships and those Titans teams weren't nearly the best teams in the league, and they were getting the 1 seed, 2 seed. They were consistently winning the AFC South, and you see what the Titans have done since then. It's been brutal to watch.
Yeah.
And like the biggest thing with him was just how effective he was to not be a to be strictly like a downhill runner is so impressive to me. That's kind of why I love Derrick Henry, and to be such like a fantasy producer without any like receiving upside,
just to have on the ground production.
and
he was the best running back of his era. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it might be based more recency bias than anything else. But
takes over right as safety stops.
Yeah.
He kind of hands off the baton.
No, and even and like unlike the other guy that I have as my number 3, I am somewhat referring to him. Not yet. Not yet.
That's okay. Maybe I'll have Derrick Henry. Who knows?
Maybe.
I'm thinking of Roy Hildo Jr. Actually, that's kind of where I'm thinking here.
I'll mention it. Yeah. So
my Bio Powell guy.
Yeah.
So.
Actually,
I think Isaiah Crowell went for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, so the third guy I have is LT, and more of the receiving threat, very, very good receiver. And his one peak season alone is so impressive.
Yes.
28 touchdowns. Or
I think it's 20. I think it's 28.
Yeah. It's ridiculous with the receiving upside that he has. It's insane. The thing is just Derrick Henry alone. Like when LT, he was still. The Chargers team was, I think, better than any Titans teams that he's seen. Any Titans teams.
They never really had success though. You know why? The special teams ass.
Yeah.
They had bad. Yep. My coach pounded them in my head that special teams are the number one thing. Because the Chargers had the number 1 rated offense and the number 1 rated defense. They didn't make the playoffs because the special teams was so goddamn ass. That is crazy. It's actually a fact. That's wild. They had the literally best player in the NFL. Right there at the time.
Yeah.
2-time offensive player of the year back to back.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
The thing is with Derrick Henry is compared to LT. LT went to the Jets, which
people go to die.
Yeah, people go to die there. I mean, granted, he did go into a better situation in Baltimore, but people were anticipating it would be like towards the end of his career. Like we really didn't expect his longevity to continue throughout.
Right where it took off.
And honestly, his last two seasons with the Ravens have been a bit overshadowed by a few guys really producing at such high levels. With Saquon and DMC having a great season last year, and
it's a tough age for running back, and he's still producing.
He had 16 touchdowns in the past 2 years and averaged over 5 a carry. So really good efficiency, getting 16 touchdowns and being in an offense that is more run biased than anything else. If you're telling me any receiver compares to how any aspect of Derrick Henry on that Ravens team, Dave Flowers is their best receiver, and I do not think that highly of Dave Flowers, personally, but
still the best weapon. I mean, Jackson's the weapon.
He is the weapon, and that might have helped too. But I just think how well he was able to do just carrying that Titans team that was really not impressive in any stretch of the imagination. Where they were able to stack it in the box.
Yeah.
Where they were putting it in the box, and I think that does attribute to how well A.J. Brown has done throughout his career. Because even having Saquon and Jalen Hurts in the backfield, when he moved to the Eagles, really his production was still high because they do have to stack the box against those guys, and he's getting a lot of one-on-one looks. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on why I believe Derrick Henry is that. And also, just this included, well, he really doesn't get hurt. He really doesn't face too many injuries at all. Yeah, no, that's the most impressive part. And I think if he has another 2 good seasons, I think he will cement himself over LT a little.
He's starting to get right in that conversation. His touchdown numbers are right there.
Yeah,
his yards are right there.
He's had over 10 touchdowns ever since his third year in the league. Every single season on the ground, not receiving, nothing. And he's averaged over 4 carry every single season. Which
you might just see him in college league as well. I'm not sure about that. I think I know who I'm going with, but we're gonna have to extend the roster for that video. Yeah. But yeah, I'll get into my number 2. This was a tough debate between the 2 guys that Jake talked about, and I also had Sean Alexander in that conversation. He has the high top value of MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, but in my head, LaDainian Tomlinson gets the nod over him because his MVP season is just more impressive, and that's it's like to say about it's discounting an MVP type of guy, but LT was more impressive in his best seasons and his years of dominance between. I mean, he's got 3 first-team All-Pros. He's Offensive Player of the Year back-to-back 06-07 with one of the best, at least counting stats-wise, seasons of a running back of all time in 06. I mean, 28 touchdowns, 484 fantasy points. That's insane. That's crazy. And it wasn't that he could just tote the rock because he's right up there in all-time yards and rushing touchdowns, but he also had almost 5,000 receiving yards. He had 4,700, and that's insanely impressive being an all-around back, a tool back that could do a little bit of everything. And that's why I went with him over Derrick Henry. That Adrian Peterson, Derrick Henry are closer than the Danny Tomlinson is to either one of those guys. And I felt that AP gets the nod over Derrick Henry for a couple reasons, but mainly that how impressive that 2012 season is. It's more impressive than LaDainian Tomlinson's 06 MVP, and that's why he gets the nod. And I was very close to the two of them. They were very neck and neck, and that's where it went because I compared the 2 seasons, and it stood out to me more. It's the most impressive season running back in the last really 30 years, 35 years, and he gets the nod for me. But LaDainian Tomlinson is insanely impressive. I wish he had. And they had the help. That's the thing. He actually had great teams. It was just they didn't have the coaching and they didn't have togetherness. That's why Rivers will never get the credit he actually deserves. I mean, he came out this year, and you can see that it was kind of there still. And 20 years ago, he really had it. This is 20. He played this year. That's crazy. This is 20 years ago, Rivers. I mean, this is prime peak Rivers that took over for Drew Brees. And there's a reason why they picked him over Drew Brees. I know the injury thing, whatever, they had to pay him, but it's because they believed in him. And he had a great team around him. It's a shame they never were able to do anything, but it kind of seems like the running back position doesn't really translate to wins. Though, technically speaking, Sean Alexander did make the Super Bowl in his MVP season, which is funny, but they didn't win. There's a lot of guys you could go with here. We talked about a couple other guys. I don't need to start mentioning guys. CJ2K has a very impressive top tier season.
One guy I want to mention is CMC.
Yes, 100%. 1,000 and 1,000. It's so it's something that's
1,000.
It's crazy.
Extremely impressive, and just how the thing is with CMC, like he was able to do this for consistent. What is he? 2018, 2017 draft, so about 8, 9 years. He was able to be consistently on the field instead of just having these really like great peak seasons. Because he really only played like I think 4 full seasons, and that's only 50%.
His usage is nuts. Even to this day, his usage is crazy. It's off the charts. It's LaDainian Tomlinson types of usage.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's last year.
Crazy. That's still to this day. It's been wild.
He's gone over 50%.
But just purely on a fantasy standpoint, he's putting up, even on his bad games, he's putting up 25.
Yeah, just because
it's wild.
I think he averaged 8 targets. Something on the part.
Especially with all the wide receivers that were hurt. But
he's
a great player.
Even the Niners, they were really banged up last year. He was the one guy that kind of stood the test of time, surprisingly enough. And he was dominant this season. I mean, the efficiency was a bit more down than typical because of crazy dominant. But yeah, how many times he's touched so much?
And it's still off the chart. Still insanely impressive. But yeah, those are my 2 running backs. Running back's a great position to talk about here because there is so many guys that could fit in this poll, and it really depends what you value. Derrick Henry's a great pick there, but
if I want to run an I-form, I'm not putting LP in. I'm not putting AP.
But if I want to run an I-form, I'm putting Jerome Bettis blocking Brandon Jacobs, but we're not starting that right now.
Yeah, we could do an episode. Just like given a certain like backfield.
Yes.
Like we like on the help and all.
I had to gain 8 yards of carry. Who would you be your offense?
Right? I'm going probably.
I might have Pickens out there blocking for me.
If we're going just backfield and like you guys carry, we go like I'll carry Powell.
That's an interesting thing. I'm probably play Allstott, locking for AP.
Yeah, I'd probably go no.
Well, you're just talking about always.
I'm talking about like more like I'm talking about power eye.
Power eye, okay.
Yeah, I'll throw.
He got it through Poe.
Fuck it. It's good. I'd probably put Trent Will back there. And then put Lane Johnson up front.
You're playing running back in this scenario.
And then like that like side like the side fullback. Just running down.
Jared Lorenzen a quarterback. Just rolling shoulders with people.
Yeah, you can't put Taysom Hill.
I think in this situation you would get like Taysom Hill again.
Yeah.
But I think that's our Millennium team. That's our offense. And you guys should tune in next week because we're going to be showing our defense and our special teams.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got today. And y'all have a blessed rest of your Monday. Deuces.